What if the next Anthony Edwards isn't actually Anthony Edwards at all, but a 19-year-old phenom from California who's about to tear through college basketball and land straight in Chicago's lap? What if the Bulls' salvation doesn't require a blockbuster trade or free agency miracle, but simply having the vision to recognize lightning in a bottle when it's staring them in the face? Hey, everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into the Chicago Bulls' potential future, a future that doesn't involve tanking for years or mortgaging draft picks for aging superstars. We're talking about a legitimate prospect who could transform this franchise's trajectory, a player whose game screams franchise cornerstone in ways Chicago hasn't seen since the Derrick Rose era. Let's break down why Tounde Yessoufou might be exactly what the Bulls desperately need. Before we get into the prospect himself, we need to understand the mess that is the current Chicago Bulls situation. This franchise is stuck in basketball purgatory. Not bad enough to secure premium draft picks, not good enough to seriously compete for championships. They're the definition of mediocre, and mediocrity in the NBA is a death sentence. The Bulls have tried the veteran route. They've attempted to build around DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine. They've made playoff appearances that resulted in first-round exits and disappointment. They've convinced themselves they're close when the reality is they're nowhere near legitimate contention. What Chicago desperately needs is an injection of young, dynamic talent. A player who can become the face of the franchise, who can energize a fan base that's been starved for genuine excitement since the Tom Thibodeau era. They need someone who plays with passion, who attacks relentlessly, who makes you believe anything is possible when he's on the court. Sound familiar? That's Anthony Edwards. And according to Bleacher Report's latest mock draft projections, the Bulls might have found their own version. According to Bleacher Report's mock draft, the Chicago Bulls, holding the 12th overall pick in the 2026 NBA draft, are projected to select Tounde Yessoufou from Baylor University. Now, if you're a casual fan, that name might not mean anything to you yet. But trust me, you're going to want to remember it. Yessoufou is a four-star recruit from Santa Maria, California, ranked as the number 17 player in his class by 247 Sports. But rankings only tell part of the story. What makes Yessoufou genuinely special, what has scouts and analysts drawing direct comparisons to Anthony Edwards, is the way he plays the game. This isn't just about physical similarities, though those are striking. Yessoufou possesses the same explosive athleticism, the same powerful frame, the same ability to impose his will on both ends of the floor that made Edwards such a transformative prospect. But it goes deeper than that. It's the mentality, the fearlessness, that I'm the best player on this court, and I'm going to prove it attitude that separates good players from franchise-altering talents. Let's get specific about what Yessoufou brings to the table, because generalized comparisons only go so far. During his time at Baylor, he showcased a well-rounded offensive arsenal that should translate beautifully to the NBA level. First, the scoring versatility. Yessoufou can score from beyond the arc, showing legitimate three-point range that forces defenders to respect his perimeter game. But he's not just a spot-up shooter. He's comfortable pulling up off the dribble, creating his own shot in isolation situations, and making defenders pay for giving him any space. More importantly, he's a devastating driver. When Yessoufou attacks the basket, he does so with violence and purpose. He's not finessing his way to the rim, he's imposing his will, using his strength and explosiveness to finish through contact. That's an Anthony Edwards trademark, and it's exactly what the Bulls need. Someone who can generate high-quality shots when the offense stagnates. His defensive potential might be even more exciting. Yessoufou has shown the ability to guard multiple positions effectively, using his combination of size, strength, and lateral quickness to stay in front of quicker guards, while also having the physicality to battle bigger wings. In today's switch-heavy NBA, that versatility is invaluable. Defensive tenacity isn't something you can teach. Either a player takes pride in that end of the floor, or they don't. Yessoufou does, and that mentality will serve him well at the next level. Let's address the elephant in the room. Comparing any prospect to Anthony Edwards is setting an incredibly high bar. Edwards is a legitimate superstar, A player who's already led his team to the Western Conference Finals and established himself as one of the league's most dynamic two-way forces. But the comparison isn't about suggesting Yessoufou will definitely become Edwards 2.0. It's about identifying similar traits, similar skill sets, similar approaches to the game that suggest he could develop along a comparable trajectory. Edwards wasn't a sure thing when he was drafted. He had questions about his shooting consistency, his decision-making, his ability to be the guy for a franchise. But what made Minnesota comfortable taking him first overall, was undeniable physical tools combined with a competitive fire that you simply can't manufacture. Yessoufou possesses those same intangibles. Scouts who've watched him extensively talk about his motor, his competitiveness, his refusal to back down from any challenge. Those are the qualities that separate prospects who fulfill their potential from those who flame out despite having all the physical gifts. Why this makes sense for Chicago, the Bulls' interest in Yessoufou signals something important. They're finally thinking long-term. They're not chasing the next veteran rental or convincing themselves they're one piece away from contention. They're identifying young talent that could become the foundation of their next competitive era. Drafting Yessoufou at number 12 would represent tremendous value. He's the type of prospect who could easily go in the top 10 if his freshman season at Baylor goes as expected. Landing him in the middle of the first round would be a coup for Chicago's front office. More importantly, Yessoufou fits what modern NBA teams need. A versatile wing who can create his own offense, defend multiple positions, and play with the kind of intensity that elevates everyone around him. The Bulls have lacked that type of player for years, cycling through veterans who provide steady production, but never that spark of genuine star potential. Imagine Yessoufou developing alongside whatever young core Chicago can assemble over the next couple of years. Imagine him as the centerpiece of a rebuilding effort that's actually built on sustainable talent rather than short-term fixes. That's a franchise trajectory worth getting excited about. The development question, of course, projecting college prospects to NBA success is notoriously difficult. For every Anthony Edwards who exceeds expectations, there are countless highly touted prospects who never pan out. The jump from college to professional basketball is massive, and physical tools alone don't guarantee success. Yessoufou will need to continue developing his shooting consistency, particularly from three-point range. He'll need to refine his decision-making and learn when to attack versus when to facilitate. He'll need to add strength and polish to compete against NBA-level athletes night after night. But here's the thing, all of those are coachable elements. You can improve shooting mechanics. You can teach better decision-making. You can develop basketball IQ through experience and quality coaching. What you can't teach is Yessoufou's athletic foundation, his competitive mentality, and his natural feel for the game. Those are the building blocks that elite players are constructed from, and he's got them in abundance. The timeline reality, let's be clear about something. The 2026 NBA draft is still over a year away. Yessoufou hasn't played a single college game yet. Mock drafts at this stage are educated guesses at best, wild speculation at worst. His stock could rise dramatically with a dominant freshman season, pushing him into the top 5. Or he could struggle to adjust to college basketball and slide down draft boards. But that uncertainty is exactly why identifying him now, before he becomes a household name, before the hype machine kicks into overdrive, is smart scouting. The Bulls are doing their homework early, positioning themselves to potentially land a franchise-altering talent if everything breaks right. What makes this projection genuinely encouraging for Bulls fans isn't just the specific prospect. It's what it represents philosophically, a commitment to building through the draft rather than chasing quick fixes. The NBA's most successful franchises, the ones with sustained excellence rather than brief flashes, are built on smart drafting and player development. The Warriors drafted their core. The Nuggets found Jokic and Murray through the draft. The Thunder rebuilt their entire franchise through savvy draft picks. Chicago has been terrible at this for years, constantly trading picks for veterans or missing on the selections they do make. If they can identify and develop a player like Yessoufou, it signals a fundamental shift in organizational philosophy that could pay dividends for years. So, is Tounde Yessoufou the next Anthony Edwards? Maybe, maybe not. But he's got the tools, the mentality, and the potential to become something special. And for a Bulls franchise desperately searching for its next cornerstone, that possibility should be incredibly exciting. The 2026 draft is still a ways off, but Chicago fans should be paying close attention to Baylor basketball this season. They might be watching their franchise's future taking shape in real time. Your take on this future star, all right? I need to know what you think about this projection. Are you buying the Anthony Edwards comparisons? Or is that setting unrealistic expectations? Would you rather see the Bulls tank harder for a higher pick? Or is landing Yessoufou at 12 the perfect balance of value and potential? And Bulls fans specifically, does this give you hope for the future? Or are you tired of hearing about prospects who might pan out? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because draft projections always generate passionate debate, and I want to hear every perspective. If this breakdown got you excited about Chicago's potential future, hit that like button and let's keep tracking Yessoufou's development together. The next franchise superstar might be taking shape right now, and we'll be here covering every step of the journey. Talk to you soon.